On Wednesday, the U.S. published its 43rd Human Rights Report, accusing 200 countries and regions of human rights violations. It claimed that China was abusing Muslim minorities. Well, the next day, China responded with a report on the human rights of the U.S. The Chinese report criticized the U.S. for racial discrimination, economic inequality, massive incarceration, and refusal to close Guantanamo. I read online comments on both reports. Interestingly, there are people on both sides who have doubts about the seriousness of it all. I'm alarmed by how divisive this could be. When you ask someone in Nigeria, Bolivia, Bulgaria, Malaysia, Germany, Denmark, or China, do you care about freedom of speech, racial equality, and economic inequality, and in what order? I bet they will have different answers. I believe in the eyes of many in the developing countries, freedom from want and fear is the #1 human right. That is why the Chinese and Americans see Xinjiang differently. The Chinese want to see a stable and prosperous Xinjiang where Chinese Uyghurs, Kazakhs, and Han people are free from religious radicalization and economic deprivation. I talked to a CGTN journalist who just visited a vocational training school in Kashgar. What he saw is probably not a utopia, but definitely a school to learn, a chance at a better job, and a place for good. Social justice and individual rights and freedoms are not Western any more than they are Chinese. Rather, they are socially constructed in history and realities. But I guess I can never have the ears of some Americans who refuse to listen. The U.S. always boasts to be the greatest hope of freedom of mankind. But even during a pacifist Obama presidency, the Americans dropped 26,000 bombs on 7 countries in a year. And America wants to make the world in its own image. But look at the places it has tried. In Grenada, in Guatemala, in Afghanistan, and in Iraq. Uncle Sam's missionary passion is morally questionable and practically impossible. A citizen has human rights, but also rights to his culture, history, and community. As German philosopher Johann Fichte pointed out, every nation is entitled to its own political autonomy. Ronald Reagan once said, "A troubled and inflicted mankind looks to the U.S. as the shining city on a hill." Yes, the U.S. shines, but there are lights elsewhere, and there are hills all around. We are all imperfect. In order to remedy the problem, we must be humble. Human rights is not mathematics. There is no universal equation. It is a conversation within a civilization and between civilizations.